Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to another video. Super excited to be coming at you guys with another absolute banger. We are going to be playing the Plantation course at Kapalua Resort, and as you guys can see, it is an absolute monster. 7,600 yards, a rating of almost 80, and this is the place they have the Tournament of Champions at the beginning of every PGA Tour season, so if you're teeing it up in January, that means you had a great year the year before and you're looking to get another win. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, like the video, all that good stuff. It really does help me out a lot, and I really do appreciate it. And it really motivates me to continue to pump out good stuff. And I really am redoubling my efforts to build my YouTube channel further. I've got a little more time in my schedule, and I'm definitely excited for some more great content, including a trip to Colorado in about a week or two. And there's a couple courses there that I'm going to be playing. I won't be spoiling the names of them. All I know is they're going to be awesome to film. So that being said, let's hop into this video. So this is on a very, very windy day in Hawaii, so I did my best to work on the audio here and there while still trying to keep the shots, like hearable. So if there's any wind feedback, I apologize for that. I mean, it was blowing sustained 25 to 35, and there were gusts over 40. In fact, you guys will see the camera blown over once or twice, and it's pretty funny. And also, at the very end of this round, there is a nearly 700-yard par 5, so you guys are definitely going to want to stick around for that. Just an insane way to finish the round. So, pretty solid starting 4 there, a 520-yard par 4, and that will be a common theme. And yeah, just a beautiful course. And as we get to the back 9, you guys, I think, are really going to be amazed with the scenery. It's already great to begin with, but I felt like as I played, the course got prettier and prettier. So, par 3 here, wind's heavy off the right into us. I hit a pretty good shot here trying to fight the wind, and caught the left edge of the green. Also, one more quick thing. I saw on my feedback from the Hazel Team video, the microphone was a little, iffy. I was using my iPhone to record my audio. This time I've got it hooked up to a really nice Yeti microphone, so let me know if you guys enjoy this type of audio, if the balance is nice and all that good stuff. And if it's not, I'll continue adjusting it, but just let me know. So I have about 40 feet or so for birdie here. And greens were a little slow because they were punched about a week and a half ago, but it definitely didn't change the beauty of this course. It was just phenomenal from start to finish. And pretty good putt here, honestly. Really good pace. And that's definitely something I've been working on a lot, is my pacing with putts, because, after I put in my stats on a lot of these rounds, and one of the things that's becoming very apparent is I'm losing a lot of shots with my lag putts. So having closer proximity from, my lag putts is really helping me cut down on some strokes. So on to hole 3, 424 yards. And again, just dead into the absolute teeth. So definitely a tough way to get this round started. You guys can see that when really ripping through my shirt there. So again, you're going to see me hit this one pretty low. And hit a pretty good shot here, and just trying, again, just get this thing on the ground as fast as possible so I can get it to start running. And, I'm smoking this 1-iron. And normally it's a 320, 330-yard club. But there's some shots here. It's crazy. There were some shots here where the ball went 240, 250 with the 1-iron, and I hit a couple 1-irons, almost 400 yards here. So just absolutely, you guys are definitely going to want to stick around for that. When the wind switches down, oh boy, it is crazy. So I think like 145-ish yards here, and hitting an 8-iron just goes to show, how hard I'm trying to keep this thing low. And as someone who creates a lot of speed naturally, the ball's going to balloon, and it's a really good test for me as a guy who has a lot of speed to see if I can flight the ball down and keep it from getting away from me. So this really was a fun challenge. And you guys can see just wind is absolutely ripping, and that is the worst when you when you're already experiencing a heavy headwind and you in the sand trap and you hit the shot and you get a face full of sand. That's always great, ain't it? So I have about maybe 6 feet here to save par, and just trying to play with a little bit of break, and hit a very poor putt here on top of a misread. So that was definitely not my prettiest shot. So 1 over through 3, but again, I know this is going to be an absolute grind, and I'll do this sometimes. You know, I always encourage people, especially when you're playing for fun. If you hit a bad shot, hit it again. Just, you know, correct that wrong you made earlier, and it'll give you more confidence, and it'll also help your body kind of attune to, you know, what you should have done in the first place, and it can definitely be a great way to practice. So now we have a really uphill par 4, and you guys can start to see. I might be wrong, but I believe that is the island of Molokai. I'm not positive, and I probably butchered that name. But you can definitely see a couple of the islands once you get to the top of the course, and it really is an incredible view. So absolutely perfect shot here. And again, still into the wind a little bit, but I actually think it being uphill helped me a little bit because it kept the ball closer to the ground, which made it a little easier to avoid the wind. And so middle of fairway here, pretty much exactly where I want to be. Again, and you guys can start to see the views you'll see later on in the video, just that crystal blue water, the Pacific Ocean, and then the other change in the Hawaii the other island change in the Hawaii archipelago, and just a really beautiful place. So another flighted shot here, and you guys can see I'm definitely getting a good workout in with the flighted shots. And it definitely brings in a level of variance that can make it tough for me to play my best golf because, you know, there's 2 things I got to deal with now. I got to deal with, you know, is the shot I'm hitting, is it going to go to the right yardage? Because it is kind of a guess. And then also, you know, have I guessed the wind right? So I think that's why scores tend to go up when you play in the wind. It's not necessarily the course, it's harder. I don't really think it's that. I think it's just the variance in shots gets wider because there's more variables. So I think that plays a huge role in it. And again, a really great lag putt here, and a lot of the practice I've put in the past probably a couple months has been paying off big time with these lag putts. And I'm noticing that I'm not leaving myself much more than a couple feet for my 2 putt most of the time, so that's a good thing. Now on to the 5th hole. So this is the first par 5 we face, a sweeping left to right hole over the ravine. Quite an intimidating tee shot, to say the least. And that is probably Jurassic Park down there. And you can see a really beautiful resort all the way down there. It's close to where we were staying. But yeah, just phenomenal. So going to play a fade here off of the corner of that dogleg. I actually thought when I hit this I might be in a little bit of trouble, but fortunately it was a left to right wind, so with that fade I was actually able to ride some of the wind, and the ball actually did carry over the ravine, and I was in pretty much perfect position on the right edge of the fairway, and really not a lot left into the green, and have a great chance to make a nice birdie. And yeah, that's just you know, words really don't do it justice. If you guys are on the fence about, you know, playing golf out here, like, you know, find a way to make a vacation to Hawaii, you know, and come out here. I mean, this place, it really, I can describe it here all I want, but like at the end of the day, if you guys come out here, it's truly just special if you're here in person, and it really is incredible. And you can see that wind really ripping off the left, and it was just able to get the ball to stop on that on the edge of the green. I thought it was going to actually roll down pretty far, but been living on the edge on this hole, and I'm rewarded with a nice little eagle putt. I think I got about maybe 30 feet here, a bit uphill. And again, at this point, I'm just trying to leave myself nothing left for birdie, and I will be happy. But kind of underestimated how slow it would be, and definitely left myself about 2 or 3 feet more than I'd like. But I had a good line, and I knew exactly how I was going to break, so I just figured I'd walk right on up and brush it in. So back to even on the day. Quite happy with that, with how it's blowing. I mean, and I don't know what it is about the wind. I feel like it makes you uncomfortable. Like, I think humans love predictability, and especially with golf, I think that's why we're so fascinated with golf, because this desire to make it predictable when it's just an unpredictable game. And I think wind being thrown into that equation just adds fuel to that fire of unpredictability, and it just can make it very tough, and it's a mental battle. And I mishit this ball so bad, but fortunately the wind was off the right and kind of pushed the ball back. So I wasn't really in too much trouble ever. And this is a really weird little green. I'm actually going to do a zoom in here on my approach shot. So I played this probably a good 15-20 feet left of the green to have it funnel in. And you guys will see what I mean here in a little bit. So, like, literally, you can hit this 20 yards left of the edge of the green, and it'll funnel all the way down onto the green. And that's almost kind of where you got to hit it. So you see here, if you pay attention really closely in a few seconds, just right of where my elbow is on the right side, you can see it funneling down. And it's still rolled like a good probably 12 or 15 feet away from the flag, even though I landed it, like had to be at least 5 to 10 yards left of the green. So definitely a cool little hole, cool little design. And I don't know why, but those trees were so pretty to me. Like those little evergreens, I just feel like they fit perfectly in with the backdrop. And so we got about a 12-footer here. You guys can see, if you look at the coloring of the green, that the grain changes quite drastically as we're facing it. If you look at the shiny, I guess the brighter colored grain that's closest to us. So if we're facing it, it's running away from us, but as I'm facing it's the opposite, so that would be into me. And so effectively, me hitting over that darker colored grass, I'm putting I'm putting down grain. So that's a good way of kind of knowing if a putt's going to be faster or slower than you expect. And on to the next hole, a really big par 4 here. And you guys can see this is where you can really start to see like how incredible some of these views are when you get up to a nice elevation. So 522 yards, par 4, and yes, there is a much longer par 4 than that later in the video, and much longer than you're thinking. And absolutely destroyed this ball. Certainly helped that it was downhill, downwind, and bit off a huge chunk of this golf hole. And in a nice spot here, can't have much more than 30 or 40 yards to the pin. And that always makes golf a little easier, doesn't it? This still was a pretty tough shot here because I had to really... This ball was going to run pretty far, with it being a tailwind. And that was the one issue, was I didn't have enough swing to get it to stop. So you guys look here real closely. You can see the ball rolling down the slope. This ball nearly goes in, hits the lip, and runs by pretty good. That would have been a pretty cool 2 there. I'm sure there's not too many of those throughout the course of play. So, all in all, though, whenever you have a 500-yard par 4, you're not too upset if you have a 15-footer for birdie. And let's look at the next hole right there. And again, just, how many more times can I say it? Just a truly incredible scenery. So, have about, as I said, 12 or 15 feet for birdie here. And I thought it would break, and it just didn't. Don't really have many words for that. That was a good putt. The ball just didn't quite break the way I expected. But can't be too mad at even through 7 here. I've definitely been grinding for sure. And on to the next hole, par 3. I believe this is somewhere in the order of 200 yards. And the wind is very strong off the right. Probably at this point 20 to 25 miles an hour, steady. 187 yards. Probably fractionally downwind with me playing a draw. So you guys are going to see me really drop it inside here and just let the club kind of swing out. And I've always found when I have very heavy crosswinds, some people say hit like a fade into a hook wind and a hook into a fade wind, but I've always kind of just wanted to work with the wind. I feel like it kind of just makes it a lot easier to control what the ball is going to do. So that's just my experience. And hit a pretty good shot here. Perfect distance, just barely stayed up on the shelf. Definitely don't want to roll down off that shelf, that's for sure. So have about probably 40 feet here for birdie, and obviously would be very happy to get this down in 2. So that's pretty much my goal, of just making a good stroke and giving it a chance, of course. But at the end of the day, I don't want to have anything left for par. And again, just a phenomenal putt. Can't really be upset at that at all. And maybe have a foot and a half left to make a really solid 3. So just trucking along, even through 8 holes. And this one probably was the craziest one in terms of headwind. I would say on this hole, the headwinds were approaching 30 miles an hour. And this is only a 550-yard par 5. And I smoked both of these shots. And that was absolutely pounded. It went 268 yards. So that just goes to show you. And, I mean, I still have almost 300 yards left. And, I mean, in my mind, I felt like when I teed up, I might have some kind of chance to reach a screen in 2. But I had no chance. Because this 1-iron 2, you guys are going to be able to see it take off. I hit the absolute best shot I could have hit. Just absolute bullet as low as possible. But I'm just watching this ball because it's just hovering in the air. It's not going anywhere. This shot probably went 240 yards. I mean, just, I don't know what to say. I felt like I was playing a 800-yard hole. It was just absolute stiff wind the entire time. And I teed off around 1:30, and it seems like the trade winds always max out between about 3 and 5 o'clock. So, and I do remember it's always windy out here, but this was like a particularly windy day. This was probably even a step above what you would expect here. And it's funny, the Tournament of Champions, I think Cam Smith won it somewhere in the 30 under range, which is just bonkers. But I asked the starter, and he said that for some reason they always seem to have extremely calm weather whenever guys play here. And I actually looked at the scoring history of the tournament, and there were times when the guy won with single digits under par. And then obviously there were times like a year or 2 years ago when someone won with 30 under. And so obviously that has much to do with the wind. So that made me feel a little better. But just an incredible 4 here. Like that might have been my best hole of the round, frankly. Just based on the challenge. And again, hole 10, it's quite a far drive from hole 9. You got to drive, by the clubhouse, and then it's like probably a quarter-mile drive through some woods and through the range and all the way back to get out here. And again, just really heavy winds here. And it can be tough when you have these headwinds, but just wait. A few more holes. You guys are about to see me hit some ridiculous golf shots when the wind switches down. So right now it's just about survival. That's really, really what it's all about. I mean, a 9-iron from 129 is just freaking crazy. But that's how you have to play. I mean, you literally cannot hit high shots and win this heavy. It's just not an option. You will not have a fun experience. And honestly, I was hitting good shots here. Like I was trying to manage expectations and just try to grind out pars. And if I can get fortunate enough to have a birdie slip in, that's great. So these greens were humongous, by the way. Probably some of the biggest greens I've ever seen in my life. But I was just happy to be on the dance floor at this point. And not a bad leave at all. Probably about 25, 30 feet here for my birdie. And the wind is off my left here, so I got to factor that in. It might cause the ball to break a little more. And it is at the point now where I would say the cutoff is about 15 miles an hour. Once you start getting above like 15, 20 miles an hour, you do have to start thinking about the wind when it comes to your putts. Because I guarantee you guys, if it was a calm day, I would have at least 2 or 3 feet left instead of just a tap in. Because that wind pushed that putt back to the hole a ton. So that's kind of a good rule of thumb, though. Once you get into the double digits, 10 to 15 mile an hour wind gusts, that's when it's worth starting to think about the wind affecting your putt. So down to hole 11, 165 yards, hitting a gap wedge, but this was just a terrible misread. So I felt like the wind was a tailwind off my right, but as it ended up being, it was probably just a dead crosswind. And I think that's sometimes the hardest. When you have an extremely strong crosswind, if that wind shifts like even 5 to 10 degrees, it can make a 10% difference in how far your golf ball goes. And you can see just how freaking short my shot was. And you guys are about to get a nice little introduction to how hard the wind's blowing, because I'm going to hit this bunker shot. And I was so frustrated because I would have posted this on my Instagram if the camera hadn't fallen over, because this was literally one of my best shots all day. I was like a 30-yard bunker shot, and I speed it up here so you guys can see me pick up the camera, and you can see where the shot was. I mean, it's one of my best shots all day, and the camera literally fell over. It was almost like comedic timing, but that was definitely one of my best pars of the day. And now it's time to have some fun. This is the first hole where I can say I was truly hitting dead downwind, where there would be some Nintendo numbers being put up in terms of yardages. So hole 12, 424, 1 iron, and I was just going to open this guy up. And I absolutely smoked this one, and this ball was in the air forever. I mean, like, absolutely forever. Probably carried 355, 360 yards, frankly. And if it hadn't gotten caught up by this rough, it probably would have rolled another 10 or 15 yards. But really great shot here. Now the only issue is I got to try to get this ball to hold from like probably, 50 yards out. So that was definitely tough. And obviously creating a lot of speed. It's very easy when you put me close to these greens when there's a tailwind. It's very easy for me to let the golf ball get away from you. So that was at the forefront of my mind when I hit this shot. And I feel like I did a really good job of keeping the ball from getting out of hand. And really hit a great shot here at about 5 or 6 feet. I felt like I've been playing defense most of the round. And I felt like I was going to start to, on this side there were 3 par 5s. And there were definitely going to be a few holes where it was going to be a favorable wind condition. So I felt like I could start to play offense a little more, and that was definitely the plan. And so now we're switching right back into the wind. But the cool thing about this course was, I feel like they obviously have a prevailing wind because they certainly designed this course with the wind in mind. Because you'll have a par 4 that's literally longer than some of the par 5s, but it's because it literally plays like on a 30-mile-an-hour tailwind every day. And, these shorter par 4s, they play into the headwinds, and the longer par 4s play into downwind. So it was a really balanced design. Like, I never felt like, despite the wind and, how crazy, some of these holes were, I never really felt like there were any unfair holes, despite them having, like, 3 500-yard par 4s. Like, I didn't feel like that at all. It just goes to show how well-designed this course was. And there you guys go, 141 yards, and I'm hitting a big old 7-iron. So this along with hole 9 would probably be in the conversation for the 2 toughest holes in terms of the wind. Definitely not difficult holes at all by themselves, but it just goes to show what the terrain and the environment can do to a golf hole, because 9 and this hole both were probably easy holes if you look at it as the bird flies, just as a layout, but absolutely 2 of the most brutal when it comes to factoring in the wind and everything like that. So thrilled to have a putt for birdie here, to be honest. I mean, this, as I told you guys, this has been a huge challenge for me, having as much speed as I have, and playing these shots a certain way so that I'm able to just stay with the golf hole and not let a hole get out of hand. So ran this one by a little bit, but again, can't really be too mad at this leave. So got a little bit left for par here. And you guys can tell I'm not taking a ton of time over these putts, and it's really because, I don't want to worry about, missing a putt. I know it's going to happen, and it's just part of the game, and so I figure it's better just to get the shot over with instead of worrying about it all, the entire time. So a bit of a rough 3-putt there, but to be honest, the wind was definitely in my head a little bit, and it definitely can wear on your patience for sure. So now we're on to by far the shortest par 4 on the entire course, and of course, playing straight into a headwind. So probably playing more like 350, 360, and I hit a great tee shot here. And, I mean, the wind was just howling. I don't know how I hit it 286 yards. I thought there was no way I would be able to hit it anywhere close to the green. But I was actually within chipping distance, just short of the bunker. So not a bad spot at all. My only guess is maybe I just kept it low enough where it ran pretty good in the fairway, and I got a little bit of run out. But in any scenario, I'm in a good shape here. And this is where the headwind's actually going to help me, because it doesn't look like it from this angle, but I really didn't have all that much green to work with. But having a headwind as a bit of a backstop was actually really nice. Definitely slowed the ball down a lot. So have about a 5 or 6 footer here to get back the shot I lost on the last hole. Have a pretty good bead on this read too, and the wind died down a little bit here, and I was able to take that window and just make a perfect stroke and read it nicely. And I don't know if there's many better feelings in golf than having, say, like a 10 or 15 footer for birdie. And you guys know the feeling. It's maybe got a little bit of break to it. You hit the putt, and it feels good off the face. And about a foot away from the hole, it's obvious the ball's about to go in, and you just start that little walk to the hole. Like, I don't know if there's any better feeling in golf than that. So on to the next hole, par 5. Perfect 1-iron here. The wind was into me off the left, so hit a nice little bleeder left to right to work with the wind a little bit. Very happy I still got it out there 290. I didn't necessarily think I'd be able to do that. Now I have pretty much a straight off the left wind, and makes it a lot easier to manage. So 253 yards here, going to be hitting 4-iron. I felt like this played pretty true to the yardage. Just had to be aware of the wind being off my left pretty hard. So just the one thing I wanted to do is make sure it didn't get away from me, and then the ball just slips to the right too much. So hit a really good shot here. Was holding my breath, hoping that the ball would hang on the right corner, and it just barely did. And if that ball rolls off, you're going to have at least a 30 or 40 yard chip going back up the hill. So at this point, I've played this hole pretty much perfectly, and I'm rewarded with about a 40 or 50 footer for eagle. So can't be too mad at that. And again, for this eagle putt, felt like I had a pretty good feel for it. You know, didn't want to do anything too crazy, just make a nice roll. One thing I don't want to do is give myself anything to think about for my birdie. And left it a little bit short, and certainly wish I would have hit it a bit harder, but probably about 3 feet left here. And again, as I told you guys earlier, this is kind of my approach. Just take one quick look at it and just go off my instincts. And I just want to hit this putt before I have a chance to think about it. And most of the time it works out pretty good. So 3 under through 15, can't be upset about that at all. And yeah, just another really, really tough hole here, straight into the wind. The one good thing about this was it was a pretty wide hole, and it seemed like that happened quite frequently. So thank you, Kapalua, for not making things harder than they had to be by giving me some wide fairways. As a long driver, I really much appreciate it. So I hooked this one a little bit, and as you guys will find out, I needed every bit of this fairway, and frankly this rough, for it to not go into trouble. But I'm still okay, still in a headwind, and that's definitely something that, as I'm sure you guys have seen, has definitely been a pain in the butt all day. And what I can tell you is these last 2 holes after this hole are probably 2 of the most memorable holes you'll see anywhere. So stay tuned for that. And now gap wedge. Really weird left to right headwind kind of situation. So for some reason, I didn't really feel comfortable over the shot. And you guys can just see that wind pushing that ball. Just very difficult shot. And so I'm just on the edge of the green, gonna have a very long putt, and a 2 putt from here would be fantastic. And that's the goal. So probably 50 feet here if I had to guess, something like that. And just, as I said, just trying to have good pace. And you guys are about to watch a brutally bad putt. So enjoy. That looked good from the moment I hit it, didn't it? So definitely my worst putt of the round, I'm sure, like by a mile. and still have like 12 feet left. I guess the only consolation was the pacing was good. How about that island in the background, by the way? Just incredible. What wasn't incredible was that putt. I left it about 6 inches short, so there's no 3-putt quite like one where you you misread it by 12 feet, and then you leave the 12-footer short. That's always nice. Now we are on to one of the craziest holes I have ever played in my life. A 550-yard par 4. I'll say it again. A 550-yard par 4. And fortunately for me, it was a howling tailwind off the right, and this fairway was probably 100 yards wide. So I could pretty much just let it rip, and this is definitely up there with amongst the longest one-irons I've ever hit in my life. I mean, this was probably, 380, this was almost 400 yards. So it kicked down the left side, and I really thought for a second I was about to miss this fairway, but fortunately the ball stopped rolling right at the corner of it. And honestly, I was in a great position. So it's really not that hard of a hole. You see it on the scorecard, and you're like, holy crap. But this probably plays more like 420, a 410, 420 hole. It's really, honestly not one of the, I would even say this is one of the harder holes on the course. There were so many holes that I felt like were just impossible. I wouldn't say impossible, just really hard. So, hitting a gap wedge here, trying to feed it in from the right. Ball's in the air forever. And hit the right edge of the green and kick a little bit left, and we got this for our birdie. Probably about 60 or 70 feet. So the adventure continues on this hole. And at this point, my goal is just to hit a good putt here and give myself, as you guys have heard a lot throughout the round, just get myself down to 2. And it really seems like Kapalua, that's one of the big tests. It's a long course. A lot of your approach shots are going to be from tough spots where you're just happy to get on the green. And with these greens being huge, it is a recipe for having a substantial amount of putts outside of 30 feet. And I feel like most of the time, and I could be wrong, but most of the time the guys who win the PGA Tour event here, they're probably the guys who have the best putting from 30 plus feet, who are guys who can get the putt down in 2. Now we're on to the Big Mama Jama, 677-yard par 5. This might be one of the most famous holes on the course. In the world. And, yeah, you guys know I was about to rip it. Just tattooed this one. Caught it about 95%. Didn't absolutely kill it, but certainly hit it pretty good. Pretty much just a slight fade down the right center, and it got a nice kick down the fairway. And didn't quite make it all the way down the flats. Bubba Watson, actually, or I don't know if it was Bubba. It was someone made it like all the way down there. But the caveat to that is obviously the fairways were running crazy fast, and there's probably like a 40-mile-an-hour tailwind, which I'm sure helps. So 255 yards, coming in with a 6-iron, and my big thing was just don't overdraw it. So I really played a perfect shot here. I thought this was going to land on the right edge of the green, but it actually hit the back of the green and just took a huge hop over. Just really disappointing. I should have hit a 7, but I didn't think it would go that far. So I landed on that back, fairway thing right there, and then just took, probably a 15-yard hop to that spot. So now I'm chipping back into the wind. For some reason, it just didn't look like it was a super comfortable shot. So caught a little too much grass with this, and it unfortunately gave me a little more than I would have liked. And so I have about 20 feet here for birdie to finish round off strong. And unfortunately, not a great effort. So I'll go ahead and tap that one in for a par. I believe I shot a 70, something like that. 71. So can't complain about that round at all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to click the like button, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I will see you guys next time.